Royal family has been rocked by reports of fresh allegations against Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor as the former prince is investigated by police.
When he was a bit tougher at the end of October, he should never have allowed Andrew to make the statement he did at the beginning of October. I mean, he is, in some ways a bit of, he's called Charles the Ditherer. I mean, he's in some ways, he is a compassionate man, but I think he feels he gave an undertaking to the mother he would take care of Andrew.
And that update was basically to do two things. To say, one, we're not sitting on our hands. This is complicated. It's an offence of misconduct in public office, and there's a lot of work to go through.
There are royal scandals, and then there are the stories that instantly make people stop what they're doing and think, wait, did he really say that? And right now, a fresh allegation connected to Prince Andrew is creating exactly that kind of reaction. According to royal commentators, it is not only the claim itself that has people talking, it is the deeply personal nature of the alleged remark that has sparked such intense discussion. Royal biographer Tom Bower recently spoke about an incident that he claims took place during one of Andrew's official overseas trips. If the account is accurate, many observers believe it reveals something far more troubling than simple arrogance or royal entitlement. According to those familiar with the story, it points to a level of disrespect that critics have quietly associated with Andrew for years. The alleged incident reportedly occurred when he was serving as Britain's trade envoy, during a period when he regularly traveled across the globe, attending high-profile business events, diplomatic meetings, and exclusive gatherings on behalf of the monarchy. Back then, Andrew still carried the image of a polished senior royal moving comfortably among powerful figures and wealthy elites. On the surface, everything appeared carefully managed. The tailored suits, luxury hotels, formal banquets, official photographs, and elite networking events all helped maintain the appearance of a confident royal representative.
Of course they did. Why was that not communicated? These are reasonable questions.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think it's fair to believe that Prince Andrew lied to his family as much as he's lied to us. There are royal protection officers that said that they lost count.
No, she and Andrew both proven liars over their relationship.
It's proved with the Andrew story so hard for the king to move on. You've still got the American authorities wanting him to go over to Congress to give evidence. He has, in the last 24 hours, refused to do that. But the Andrew story hasn't gone away either, has it? Yes, they've done a deal for Sandringham, but the king, this really threatens to taint his entire reign.
Everything looked smooth and professional. But according to Bower, there was allegedly another side that many people behind the scenes witnessed away from public view. During a podcast appearance, he described what he claimed was an uncomfortable moment that unfolded during a formal lunch in Warsaw attended by diplomats, business leaders, and senior officials. According to Bower's account, the event initially seemed completely routine. Andrew was reportedly participating in discussions with guests when a deputy ambassador entered the room carrying an urgent message regarding a phone call that required immediate attention. Situations like that are hardly unusual during diplomatic visits. Interruptions happen frequently when senior officials are traveling and conducting international business. However, according to Bower, the atmosphere reportedly changed very quickly. The deputy ambassador was said to have a visible disability affecting his foot. Bower alleged that Andrew reacted negatively to the interruption and made a remark directed toward the diplomat's condition. According to the account, the comment was not whispered privately or shared discreetly. It was allegedly made loudly enough for others nearby to hear. Royal commentators say that detail is one of the main reasons the story has generated such strong reactions. If the account is accurate, critics argue that the allegation moves beyond ordinary impatience and enters far more uncomfortable territory. Bower later pointed to the moment as an example of what he believes was Andrew's true character beneath the carefully maintained public image. His assessment of the prince was especially harsh. During the discussion, Bower described Andrew as self-focused, impulsive, careless, and frequently rude behind closed doors. Those comments quickly attracted attention, and many royal watchers began debating whether the story aligned with the reputation that has followed Andrew for years. That is one reason the allegation spread so rapidly. For many observers, it did not feel like a completely isolated claim. Instead, it seemed to fit into a larger narrative that had been developing for decades. Royal reputations rarely collapse because of one single event. More often, public perception changes gradually. One uncomfortable story leads to another. Rumors begin to pile up. Questions start appearing. Over time, those individual moments can create a pattern that becomes difficult to ignore. According to commentators, that process for Andrew began long before the scandals that later dominated international headlines.
Yeah, I mean, what can they do? It is an issue. The police investigation is going on. But importantly, the King did say back in February, and this remains the case now, that the police must take this investigation wherever it leads them. And just because he's the younger brother of the King, then, you know, that makes no difference. And actually, my understanding was that Buckingham Palace and hence the King were not told about this development at the end of last week before the rest of us.
I think there probably was some deal to get Andrew out of Royal Lodge, but the girls would be taken care of and doesn't want to go back on that deal. He may be worried about the secrets that both Fergie and Andrew have that they threatened they would reveal if they're treated too harshly. I mean, this is all speculation.
While the controversy surrounding Jeffrey Epstein became the event that dramatically damaged his public standing, critics argue that concerns about his conduct had already been circulating for years. Long before the widely criticized Newsnight interview, Andrew was already attracting negative attention in parts of the British media. During his time as trade envoy, he faced repeated criticism over expensive overseas travel, luxury accommodations, and high-profile trips that some questioned openly. Royal observers say those headlines slowly began changing public perceptions. British tabloids eventually gave him the nickname Air Miles Andy, a label that many commentators viewed as revealing. Rather than projecting the image of a hard-working royal diplomat, the nickname suggested someone frequently associated with luxury travel and elite privileges while public frustration continued to grow. Criticism was not limited to travel expenses. Over the years, various accounts emerged from individuals who claimed to have interacted with Andrew privately. Former staff members, palace employees, protection officers, service workers, and other insiders often shared stories that, while different in detail, sometimes painted a similar picture of difficult behavior. None of those accounts alone created a major public scandal. However, commentators say that together they contributed to a broader perception of someone viewed by critics as impatient, dismissive, and challenging to work with. As more stories surfaced, they began reinforcing one another and shaping public opinion. One of the most unusual claims involved Andrew's well-known collection of teddy bears. Former maid Charlotte Briggs, who worked within royal households during the 1990s, publicly alleged that the collection came with extremely strict rules. According to her account, each teddy bear had to be arranged in a precise position on his bed every day. Staff members were reportedly expected to remember the exact layout and recreate it carefully. At first, many people found the story amusing because it sounded almost unbelievable. It quickly became one of the strangest royal claims circulating in the media.
Andrew may have lost his titles under a lot of scrutiny, but he's going to live a very comfortable life from here on in.
You're so right.
She's not going to. So she might be angry about that as well. You really don't want an angry fur. Andrew has been a thorn. It's incredibly toxic. And this is the toxic man's ex-wife. It's going to make great telly. I mean, I don't think she's as stupid as Andrew. Andrew's Mateless interview in 2019 was possibly one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's easily up in the top 3 of the stupidest things I've ever.
To some observers, it felt like something straight out of a television satire about aristocratic privilege and royal eccentricities. But Briggs suggested there was a more serious side to it. According to her allegations, staff members sometimes faced sharp criticism when small details were not handled exactly as expected. Royal commentators say stories like these may have seemed quirky or humorous at first, but over time, they became part of a much larger conversation surrounding Andrew's public image and the way people viewed his behavior behind palace walls. According to Charlotte Briggs, one incident stayed with her for years. She claimed she was left in tears after allegedly being reprimanded over something as minor as the curtains in Prince Andrew's office. Royal commentators say that detail caught people's attention because it appeared to offer a glimpse into the working atmosphere behind palace doors. Briggs later compared Andrew's behavior to that of other royals she had encountered, claiming their treatment of staff was noticeably different. Of course, these accounts remain personal allegations and recollections rather than official findings.
I think the royal family were kind of getting the show back on the road in quite a good way, and then we've now had a couple of developments over the last few days to do with Andrew, and it's probably a reminder that Andrew's always going to be, this Andrew problem is always going to be lurking around the corner for the king.
Still, royal observers argue that stories like these continue to matter because they contribute to a much larger narrative that has followed Andrew for decades. No matter how much time passes, critics say those stories never seem to disappear completely. Instead, they remain in the background, resurfacing whenever new controversies emerge. According to commentators, everything reached a turning point in 2019. That was the year Andrew participated in the now famous BBC Newsnight interview, a television appearance that many royal experts consider one of the most damaging public relations moments in modern royal history. The interview was reportedly intended to address public concerns surrounding his association with Jeffrey Epstein and help repair his reputation. Instead, according to insiders and commentators, the strategy backfired dramatically. Almost immediately, the interview became international news for all the wrong reasons. Viewers across Britain and around the world questioned several of Andrew's explanations and responses. Critics described his performance as detached, awkward, and lacking the tone many expected during such a serious discussion. After the broadcast aired, one question seemed to echo everywhere. People repeatedly asked, "How did anyone think this interview would help?" The reaction was swift and relentless. News coverage exploded, public criticism intensified, and commentators say the interview marked the moment Andrew's standing within public life suffered its most serious blow. The consequences followed quickly. Military titles were removed, royal patronages disappeared, public duties came to an abrupt halt. According to royal observers, the gap between Andrew and official royal life only widened from that point forward. Yet what makes Tom Bower's recent allegations so fascinating to many royal watchers is that it connects to stories that existed long before the biggest scandals dominated headlines. Even after the controversies that reshaped his public image, older stories concerning Andrew's alleged private behavior never fully vanished. They simply faded into the background, waiting for new attention. Every time another claim emerged, those earlier reports often resurfaced alongside it. One widely discussed allegation involved a security officer who was reportedly subjected to aggressive language after refusing entry to a visitor. According to reports circulating at the time, the exchange became tense and deeply uncomfortable. Royal commentators noted that the story felt familiar because it echoed themes found in other allegations over the years. Again and again, critics pointed to claims describing someone who allegedly treated employees and staff members as outlets for frustration behind closed doors. Whether those accounts were accurate or not, observers noted that similar themes continued appearing in different stories from different periods. There were also reports involving professionals and service workers who later shared uncomfortable experiences. One massage therapist who spoke publicly years ago alleged that comments made during an appointment crossed personal boundaries and created an uneasy atmosphere. Those claims added further scrutiny to an already damaged public image and kept criticism alive long after major headlines had faded. However, according to royal commentators, the alleged Warsaw incident stands apart from many of the other stories for one important reason. It was not reportedly a private disagreement hidden away inside a palace residence. According to Tom Bower's account, the alleged remark was made during an official international engagement attended by diplomats, government representatives, business leaders, and other prominent guests. Observers say that detail significantly changes how the allegation is viewed. If the account is accurate, critics argue it suggests Andrew allegedly felt comfortable speaking that way even while representing Britain in a highly formal diplomatic environment. That possibility is what many people find particularly surprising. Commentators argue the allegation paints a picture that goes beyond having a difficult personality. To critics, it suggests someone who may have believed ordinary standards simply did not apply to him in the same way they applied to everyone else. Whether fair or not, that perception has become a recurring theme in discussions surrounding Andrew's reputation. Years later, these stories are resurfacing at a time when Andrew's circumstances appear dramatically different from the royal life he once enjoyed. Recent reports have claimed that he left Royal Lodge, the large Windsor estate long associated with him, and moved to Marsh Farm on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. Royal observers say the contrast between past and present could hardly be more dramatic. There was once a time when Andrew occupied some of the most prestigious positions within royal life. He attended major state functions, represented the monarchy abroad, participated in international tours, and maintained a highly visible role within the institution. For years, he was considered an important part of the royal machine and appeared regularly at the center of major events. Today, however, headlines connected to Andrew tend to focus on controversies, lost privileges, and lingering questions about his past. Commentators increasingly describe his current situation as a form of unofficial royal exile, a remarkable decline from the influence and visibility he once possessed. According to royal observers, that shift may help explain why more former insiders, employees, and observers appear willing to speak publicly about their experiences. Historically, when influential public figures lose power and status, people who once stayed silent often feel more comfortable sharing stories they may have kept private for years. Commentators say that once the atmosphere surrounding a powerful figure changes, everything changes with it. Individuals who previously remained quiet may no longer feel the same pressure to hold back. And whether every allegation ultimately proves accurate or not, observers argue that the sheer number of stories can have a lasting impact on public perception. According to insiders, that may be one of Andrew's biggest challenges today. It is no longer just about one controversy, one headline, or one allegation. It is about years of stories, criticism, and public scrutiny combining into a reputation that has become increasingly difficult to escape. For many people today, Prince Andrew's public image is no longer tied to royal honors, military decorations, grand ceremonies, or prestigious palace events. Instead, commentators say his reputation has become increasingly linked to stories and allegations about how he allegedly treated people when cameras were not present and public attention was nowhere to be found. One allegation that attracted significant attention came from reports connected to Tina Brown's book, The Palace Papers. According to accounts that circulated widely in the media, Andrew allegedly made a harsh remark about Sarah Ferguson during a business meeting at Royal Lodge in 2015. The reported comment quickly sparked criticism after details became public. Observers described the alleged remark as unnecessarily cutting, especially given Sarah Ferguson's long history of publicly supporting Andrew through difficult periods and controversies. Royal commentators noted that stories like this continue reinforcing a broader perception that has followed him for years. Critics argue that the allegations often paint a picture of someone who appeared comfortable making dismissive comments about people around him, including individuals within his own circle. Prince Andrew has never publicly addressed that specific claim. Meanwhile, royal observers say the monarchy has steadily increased its distance from him over time. In recent years, his public appearances have become far more limited. Many of his honors have been removed, and his role within official royal life has been significantly reduced behind the scenes. According to insiders, discussions within palace circles now appear less focused on rebuilding Andrew's public image, and more focused on protecting the institution itself from additional controversy. Royal commentators believe that careful distancing strategy may ultimately define Andrew's future relationship with the monarchy, because while public scandals eventually fade from headlines, reputational damage connected to personal conduct can linger for decades. According to observers, that appears to be exactly what is happening. The palace may have restricted Andrew's visibility and removed many of the responsibilities he once held, but the stories associated with him continue resurfacing time and time again. One allegation often leads people back to another. One controversial headline revives older controversies that many believed had faded into the background. According to commentators, that cycle has become extremely difficult to break. Every new discussion seems to reopen conversations about past events, keeping older claims alive in the public consciousness. Observers also point out that expectations surrounding public figures have changed dramatically over the last decade. Behavior that may once have been dismissed as arrogance, privilege, or old-fashioned attitudes now receives far greater scrutiny from both the public and the media. Stories involving alleged disrespect toward employees, officials, or members of the public are no longer easily overlooked. According to insiders, that cultural shift has made long-standing reputation issues far more damaging than they might have been years ago. Modern audiences often place greater importance on how influential people allegedly treat others behind closed doors than on titles, status, or official achievements. That change has reshaped how many public figures are judged. Royal commentators say that may be one reason the alleged Warsaw incident continues attracting so much attention. The story connects directly to larger discussions about privilege, accountability, and whether some powerful individuals believe different standards applied to them. Those broader themes resonate far beyond royal gossip and help explain why allegations like these continue generating debate. According to commentators, those questions are likely to follow Andrew for years, regardless of whether he ever returns to a significant public-facing role. At the same time, insiders claim the monarchy is working hard to shift public focus toward a different future. King Charles has repeatedly emphasized a slimmer and more disciplined monarchy centered on public service, stability, and duty. Meanwhile, Prince William is increasingly viewed as the future face of a modernized institution designed to connect with newer generations. Against that backdrop, Andrew-related controversies create exactly the kind of attention palace officials reportedly want to avoid. Every new allegation, disputed claim, or resurfaced story risks redirecting attention back toward controversies the institution has spent years attempting to move beyond. According to royal commentators, that reality may explain why Andrew now appears to occupy an unusual position within royal life. He is not completely separated from the family, yet he is no longer viewed as a central public figure either. He remains connected to the monarchy, but increasingly removed from the image that palace officials appear eager to promote moving forward. It is a complicated position that leaves him neither fully inside nor fully outside the royal spotlight. Observers believe that may ultimately become Andrew's lasting place within the royal story. Not a dramatic exile, not a remarkable comeback. Instead, a slow fading from public prominence under the weight of years of controversy, criticism, and allegations that proved difficult to escape. According to royal commentators, palace officials understand that nearly every public conversation involving Andrew now carries the potential for renewed controversy. That is one reason stories like the alleged Warsaw incident spread so quickly across social media, news coverage, and royal discussions. People tend to remember uncomfortable moments far longer than carefully crafted public statements. They remember shocking allegations. They remember moments that seem to reveal character. And they remember stories that feel consistent with narratives they have heard before. Commentators say that may be why this latest allegation has gained so much traction. Whether every detail is accurate or not, many observers feel the story aligns closely with the public image that has gradually developed around Andrew through years of headlines, controversies, and personal accounts shared by individuals who claim to have interacted with him behind the scenes. That leaves a question many royal watchers continue debating. Do these stories reveal who Prince Andrew allegedly was when public attention disappeared? Or have older allegations gained momentum because he has become one of the monarchy's most controversial and heavily scrutinized figures? If you enjoyed this look into the controversies, palace tensions, and stories that continue making headlines years later, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There is always another royal development around the corner, and we'll be here to break down the details when the next major story emerges.